you do one without me? Thank you. Congratulations, everybody. All right, thank you very much. So moving along, we have the New York State Assemblyman Steve Stern. He's not here tonight, but Congressman Steve Stern would like to recognize this year's valedictorian and salutatorian for their exceptional academic achievement and unwavering dedication throughout their high school careers. From the very start of freshman year, both students have demonstrated a remarkable work ethic, a commitment to excellence, and a strong sense of purpose. So, I'd like to invite Sienna Lever and Erin Conlon to the podium. All right. We're going to take a picture at the end with the entire Board of Education, so we're going to just keep moving. All right. The next one I would like to give is the New York State Assemblyman Steve Stern. This is the Overcoming Obstacles Award. This award is presented to a graduating senior who has demonstrated extraordinary resilience and determination throughout their high school journey. Despite facing significant personal or academic challenges, these students have worked tirelessly to persevere and succeed, overcoming what at times may have seemed impossible. Their strength, courage, and unwavering commitment to their future serve as an inspiration to the entire Walt Whitman community. I'd like to invite up Edward Beck, Fernanda Nahara, Caleb Rosine, and Viana Tamburello. All right. Next. Oh. Next, I'd like to give the award for the Congressman Nick LaLota. Again, this is the Congressional Certificate of Recognition for the valedictorian and salutatorian. Congressman Nick LaLota proudly recognizes the outstanding achievements of the class of 2025 valedictorian and salutatorian. Congressman LaLota commends their hard work and wishes them continued success in their future endeavors. You know who you are. Sienna and Erin Conlon, please come back up again. And again, Congressman LaLota would like to also invite up Sarah Duffy, Sam Lopez Cardenas, and Elvia Chavez Tovar. Senator Mario R. Matera, this is the Government Achievement Award. Senator Mario R. Matera is proud to recognize a distinguished student with the Government Achievement Award. This honor is presented to a graduating senior who understands the importance of civic responsibility, actively engages in the study of government, and demonstrates a passion for public service. This student has shown great promise as a future leader and will undoubtedly be a powerful voice in shaping tomorrow's government. I would like to invite up Dimitri Parrish. I'd like to call Dr. John Murphy up to the podium.
Just making sure I have the right names. All right, so for our New York State Comptroller, the Student Achievement Award, this student has exemplified the qualities of students in her senior class year, as well as all high school years, that our Comptroller wanted to identify her as a true student leader. We'd like to call up now Ms. Sophia Reichold. Sophia, where are you? There you go, Sophia. Stay right here for a second. In addition to Sophia, we have a couple of other students that the Comptroller would also like to identify. These students have also exemplified qualities of leadership, either through student leadership organizations or clubs and activities. The following students, can you please come up? And that will be, okay. He's got a lot of papers in my hand. Beckett Loomis, please come up. Abigail Burkett, please come up. And Bree Brown, please come up. Abby. Stay here for a second. Our last Comptroller Award also goes to a student who has exemplified qualities of leadership with her role among the school board. Can I please have Gracie DeMarinis please come up?
We would like to call up for the Triple C Awards, representative from Letitia James, Attorney General Letitia James's office.
So thank you for inviting me to join you this evening. I'm delighted to be here on behalf of Attorney General Letitia James. For more than 20 years, the Department of Law has recognized the state's most exceptional students with a Triple C Award for courage, commitment, and character. And Attorney General James is happy to continue this tradition and to encourage the next generation of New Yorkers to achieve their full potential. To that end, I'm delighted to present the 2025 Attorney General's Triple C Award to the following students: Sheza Chima, Ashley Palacios Ayala,
Thank you. Our next award is for the Suffolk County, from Suffolk County Executive Edward Romaine. It is the Suffolk County Public Service Award. This award is honored to present a Suffolk County Public Service Award to a graduating senior who truly embodies the spirit of public service. This student has demonstrated a deep commitment to serving others, uplifting the community, and leading with compassion and integrity. Their actions reflect a strong sense of duty and a desire to make a positive difference in the world around them. Congratulations to Ava Tulipano. Our next award is from Congressman Thomas Suozzi. It is our Certificate of Special Congressional Recognition. It is to present, this certificate is to present someone who exemplifies perseverance and personal growth. The student understands that success is not defined by how you start in life, but how determination, resilience, and the effort you put forth is to finish strong. Their journey serves as a powerful reminder of the challenges that can be overcome and the right mindset that anything is possible. Congratulations to Samira Chowdhury. These next two awards are also from Congressman Swazi's office. They are a certificate of recognition for the valedictorian and salutatorian. Can I please have Sienna Lever and Aaron Conlon please come back up? Unfold it for you. Here you go. Yep. Our next awards are from me, the Principal's Volunteer Service Award. So this is actually something that's great. Walt Whitman High School is known for the amount of community service hours that our students put in. Each one of these students have put an impressive 500 hours over 4 years of their high school career. Think about that. That's an amazing amount of hours, and when you can be doing something else, going to the beach, participating in senior cut day, or doing something for yourself. But these people decided that they would rather do something for their community, for their fellow man, and make sure the world is a little bit brighter with them being able to serve someone else rather than themselves. So can I please have the following three people come up? Jocelyn Batista Barahona, Julia Phillip, and Nathan Lublin. Congratulations to all three. So the other two are doing something else for other people right now. Come on, congratulations.
I'd like to call David Barth up to the podium, please.
Next one's for you, Mr. Barker.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy, Mr. Blair. I'm here tonight to honor the Walt Whitman High School recipients of the Outstanding Health and Physical Education Student Award presented by the Suffolk Zone of the New York State AFERD. This award is selected by our physical education staff and recognizes two outstanding students in the graduating class who exemplify exceptional scholastic ability, possess leadership qualities, and advocate for healthy and active lifestyles. This year's recipients are Erin Conlon and Xavier Ali.
All right, let's give a round of applause for all of our winners. And can we have everyone come up and we'll take a quick picture with the Board of Education? Winners.
Maybe the students on stage. So, three of the students go up on the stage. Yes. So you can go that way on stage, and then the board will be standing in front.
There was one more for students, perfect attendance, or?
Follow Sam. I'm gonna resume. And then maybe I'll see. We have students on the side. Yep. So Xavier, you want to come down here? Maybe you guys can come down here. Yep, come on in. Okay, everyone's gonna look right here for a few. Hold up your certificates. Congratulations.
I have to give it a pause. These people are leaving us in a damn thing there. Yeah. Maybe next week. First, next year. Do it first? Probably because it's like, you can't keep it like official. Oh. They have a lot more learning. Yeah, they go first. They're killing me. What's it? They're killing me up there. What? In the evaluation. Oh, we didn't get much. We had no time. Another day. No, we're going back. Oh, you're going back. Oh, okay. All right. Just as one, we've got a lot of award winners tonight and honorees. So as one group exits, please just be respectful of the next one coming up. And the next one is a new award, and it's a very special award. And to discuss it, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Ms. Erin Meyer.
Good evening. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Erin Meyer. I'm a lifelong South Huntington resident and current member of your Board of Education. But this evening, I have the honor of memorializing the impact of another very special person to South Huntington and to my family, Diana Cinquemani Fritzi. To tell you a little bit more about the award and why we are so grateful to honor 7 students in her name this evening, I'd like to turn it over to Jules, Ben, and Matthew, 3 very important people alongside Caitlin, Madison, and Kyle in Diana's life who are committed to ensuring that her legacy of positivity, kindness, and generosity continues in South Huntington.
Leave a little sparkle wherever you go. That was Auntie Dee's motto, a beloved South Huntington graduate and educator. Auntie Dee left every place and everyone in her life better than she found it. And there are many people here this evening that she impacted. Friends, family, former colleagues, and students from Countrywood. Also, to me, Leave a Little Sparkle is just like the award, leaving an impact wherever you go.
Her kindness, generosity, selflessness, ability to put a smile on everyone's face, and desire to constantly go above and beyond to make everything around her better are what made Diana the incredibly special person that she was, and the memory of her presence an everlasting gift.
The Diana Cinquemani Fritzie Impact Award recognizes South Huntington students in each building who are creating an exceptionally positive impact on our school community, making it a better place because of their presence. Students who are nominated by teachers, paraprofessionals, administrators, coaches, nurses, or support staff. The students being honored by this award embody these same characteristics and have made a tangible, lasting, positive impact on our school community.
To the 2025 recipients of the Diana Cinquemani Fritzie Impact Award. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. In a world where you can be anything, you are choosing to be kind, to be generous, to be selfless, and to go above and beyond and leave your community a brighter place than when you arrived. Recognizing your character and your efforts and telling you how truly special we think you are, I can think of no better way to honor the memory of my best friend, who was sincerely the most incredible person that not just I feel that knew her, but everyone that knew her knows she was. So I will share each of the names of you 7 award recipients, and then one of your teachers or your principal will read a little bit about why they felt you truly embody the spirit of this award. We'll present you with a certificate, and in the coming days, each of your school buildings will receive a plaque to be displayed in a place of pride with your name on it as well. Thank you to each of you, and to your parents and families for encouraging you, and your teachers and school community that recognize the greatness in you. After you get your certificate, please stay up front near the dais and we'll take a group photo along with the rest of Diana's family that's here tonight. From Walt Whitman High School, the recipient is Beckett Loomis. And I'd like to invite Dr. John Murphy to read a little bit about Beckett.
Right over there, Beckett. Since his arrival at Walt Whitman High School, Beckett has become an indispensable member of the high school community. His unwavering commitment to improving the school environment, particularly through his involvement with the Walt Whitman High School Research Department, has had a profound and lasting impact. Beckett has dedicated countless hours to campus beautification projects, demonstrating both initiative and leadership in every endeavor. Among his many contributions, Beckett has spearheaded student-led efforts to maintain and enhance the school's fish tanks, ensuring that the unique features remain vibrant and educational focus points throughout the building. He has also taken a lead role in care and upkeep of the school's meditation and memorial pond, helping to preserve the serenity and significance for all students and staff. Beyond his environmental efforts, Beckett has been a driving force behind the development and expansion of the school's recording studio. His talent and passion for music are evident not only in his own personal performances at community events, but also with his efforts to engage and mentor young students, fostering a welcoming and creative space that continues to grow under his influence. Beckett's tireless dedication to the school and to the broader district exemplifies the spirit of Diana Cinquemani Fritz Impact Award. While many students speak of service and involvement, Beckett demonstrates it consistently through his actions. His desire to leave Whitman better than when he found it is evident in everything he does. I can think of someone no more deserving than this candidate for this honor. Congratulations.
From Stimson Middle School, this year's recipient is Megan Gullickson, and I'd like to invite Mr. Duggan up to read a little bit about Megan.
I am absolutely overjoyed to nominate a truly special student for the 2025 Diana Cinquemani Fritzi Impact Award. This young woman has been a shining star at Simpson since the moment she walked into our halls in her bright orange sneakers. Orange is her spirit color, so I'm so happy she's wearing orange tonight. I am honored to nominate 8th grade student Megan Gullickson for an award that speaks volumes about her and her impact. Megan consistently volunteers her time at Stimson and in our community. She is currently working on her Girl Scout Silver Award, creating movable bookshelves to create separate quiet reading areas and learning spaces in our library. She spends most of her lunch sessions working on socialization with our life skills students in Mrs. Karnicki's class. She's received the Pride Award from Stimson. She is an athlete. If that's not enough, she maintains an incredibly high average while taking all honors classes. Megan is the best of Stimson and of our district. I'm so happy for her and her family as we celebrate Megan's impact on our school community. Congratulations, Megan.
From Silas Wood 6th Grade Center, this year's recipient is Jonah Becker. I'd like to ask Mr. Toto to come read a little bit about Jonah.
I am truly honored to be here tonight to nominate Jonah Becker for the Diana Cinquemani, thank you, that's why you're here, Fritz Impact Award. Jonah is truly an exceptional student whose daily actions embody the spirit of this award. He consistently spreads positivity, fosters inclusion, and makes a lasting impact on our school community. Jonah is the kind of student who makes everyone feel seen, valued, and included. Whether it's greeting each person he passes in the hallway with a warm smile or offering a helping hand to a classmate in need, Jonah consistently leads with empathy and heart. What stands out most about Jonah is his commitment to being a role model for others. His actions have created a ripple effect of kindness and inclusion throughout Silas Wood. Jonah's positive attitude, selflessness, and genuine care for others makes him a cornerstone of our school community. His presence lifts those around him, and he truly makes Silas Wood a better, brighter place. For these and many more, I believe Jonah is the most deserving recipient and truly exemplifies what a Silas superstar is. Congratulations.
From Maplewood Intermediate School, this year's recipient is Cristal Hidalgo Martinez, and I'd like to ask Ms. Christina DeAngelis to come read a little bit about Cristal.
Okay, my name is Christina DeAngelis, and I have the absolute pleasure of being Cristal's speech teacher this year. When I think of an individual who has the ability to make a lasting, positive impact on the South Huntington community, Christelle immediately came to mind. Christelle walks into the building each and every day with a positive attitude and willingness to learn. You can find Christelle greeting each student with a big smile, heartwarming compliment, and even a, "Hey, bestie," throughout the halls of Maplewood. She spreads kindness and sunshine through her infectious smile, sparkling personality, and consistent enthusiasm. In our speech sessions, she is as determined as it gets, taking on each and every challenge, never wavering. She is kind to her peers in the group by helping them with things they may not understand, or even something as simple as getting their materials for them. She is patient and kind with our nonverbal communicators too, offering her help when needed. Christelle is known to share words of encouragement with her peers in our sessions, such as, "You got this," or "Come on, you can do it." She is the student that every teacher loves to teach, and she is the kind of individual that certainly leaves a little sparkle wherever she goes. It's my honor to present this award to you, Christelle. You deserve it.
And from Birchwood Intermediate School, this year's recipient is Madison Inzerillo. I'd like to ask Ms. Jessica Rosato to come up.
Maddie is an exceptional student who truly embodies the spirit of Diana Cinquemani Fritzie Impact Award. She is consistently kind, thoughtful, and always ready to lend a helping hand to both peers and teachers. Whether it's assisting classmates with assignments, offering support during group activities, or simply brightening someone's day with a kind word, Maddie's generosity and selflessness are evident in all she does. Her positive attitude and willingness to go above and beyond have made a lasting, tangible impact on the school community. Maddie has been involved in many things around Birchwood, both this year and in her previous years. She has been an integral part of the Birchwood Blast, a newspaper that gives students an opportunity to share their voice with the school. She goes out of her way to ensure that everyone feels included in activities and never turns down an opportunity to help out a friend, a classmate, or a teacher. Maddie's presence creates an environment where others feel welcomed and supported, and her actions inspire those around her to do the same. Her thoughtful nature and consistent desire to make the school a better place reflect the true essence of what this award represents. For the past 3 years, Birchwood has been incredibly fortunate to have Maddie, such a bright and inspiring student, leave a little sparkle everywhere she goes. Great job.
From Oakwood Primary Center, Owen Lamott. And I'd like to ask Ms. Beth Borland and Ms. Crystal Levy to come up.
Tonight, we have the distinct pleasure of recognizing a student who reminds us all of what truly matters. It's a great honor and privilege to stand before you today to speak about Owen Lamont, a remarkable boy whose generosity, selflessness, kindness exemplifies the very best of what it means to be a role model in our South Huntington school community. From the first day we met Owen, it was clear that he brought something special to our classroom. A deep sense of responsibility and a genuine kindness that lifts up everyone around him. Owen is a leader by example. Whether it's helping his classmates or volunteering to help in the classroom, he does so with humility and heart. Owen never seeks recognition, but today we are here to give it to you because role models like Owen deserves to be celebrated. In a world that often emphasizes competition and achievement, Owen quietly leads by example, showing us that the greatest strength lies in caring for others. Whether it's staying behind to help a classmate, offering a kind word to someone who's having a bad day, playing a game, or partnering with someone without being asked, he consistently puts others before himself and always with a genuine smile.
What makes Owen truly special is that these acts of kindness are not done for recognition or praise, They come from a heart that naturally sees the needs of others and chooses to respond with empathy and action. It's the little things like picking up someone's dropped books, welcoming a new student, remembering to check in on a friend over time that create a ripple effect of kindness in our classroom and in our school. Owen is also a wonderful advocate for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. He has spoken at both the Long Island and New York City LLS galas to help raise money. He's spoken to team members and perspectives to Make-A-Wish to help them understand the impact his wish had on him. He's willing to do it all with a smile on his face. Owen, your compassion is a gift to the school and the community. You make others feel seen, valued, and cared for, and that is no small thing. You remind us of all that one person can make a big difference simply by choosing to be kind with both their words and their actions. Thank you for being the light in so many people's lives and for being a shining example of what it means to lead with integrity, kindness, compassion, and dedication. We are so proud of you and are deeply grateful for the example you set every single day. Congratulations, you truly embody the heart of the school. You make our classroom, school, and world a better place. We have no doubt that you will continue to inspire many more in the years to come.
And last but certainly not least, from Countrywood School, which was a building that held a very special place in Diana's heart, both as a student and as a teacher, I'd like to recognize Josie Snyder and invite up Miss Brianna Simon and Miss Melissa Sullivan.
I was fortunate enough to have worked with Diana at Countrywood for several years, and she truly left every person and place that she touched in her life a better place. So we knew when we had to choose someone for this award that Josie was the perfect candidate. She always has a smile on her face and kind words to share, and she really embodies the characteristics that Diana embodied.
Josie contributes a positive classroom environment by always smiling and participating in discussions. Her enthusiasm helps to engage others and creates a warm, welcoming environment for all. Josie is an active member for our student council, where she contributes, where her help contributes and fosters school spirit and community involvement. Josie has a remarkable ability to understand and respond to the emotions of her peers. She often goes out of her way to comfort classmates who are having a tough day. She regularly offers compliments and kind words to her peers and makes everyone feel valued and appreciated. Josie's lasting impact illustrates why she is a deserving recipient for this award, as she truly embodies the qualities of kindness, generosity, and a positive spirit. Thank you, Josie, for being a shining example of what it means to leave a little sparkle wherever you go.
I just want to thank my fellow members of the Board of Education, Dr. DeLee and the Cabinet for help making this recognition a reality. It means so much to me, and I promised myself I wouldn't cry, but I clearly failed on that front. But I hope that in that you all see how truly grateful we are to be able to honor you with this recognition and truly leave a little sparkle wherever you go. So at this time, I'd like to get a group photo with the Board of Education and Diana's family that's here, please.
I want to thank Ms. Meyer again. That was a very, very special and impactful award. It's, I believe, our only award that's awarded across all of our buildings. When she brought it to us, it was obviously very meaningful to her, and as well as to the rest of the board, and that was it was very special. So thank you. All right, our next presentation tonight is in recognition of our statewide reflections winners, and to help start us off, I'd like to introduce Dana Chaffee, our phenomenal PTA Council President. Dana.
The South Huntington Council of PTAs is proud to recognize our 2024-2025 PTA Reflections Accepting Imperfection New York State level winners. Whether factoring imperfections in yourself or in the world around you, this year's thoughtful and creative artwork helps show the way towards grace, peace, and sometimes even the joy found in the acceptance of what is. Thank you to our students for sharing a piece of yourselves and inspiring us all through your artwork.
Okay, thank you. And to announce our winners, I'm going to turn it over to my fellow trustee, Mr. Fred Scragg.
Well, I am thankful as a fellow artist to be presenting the awards to our local artists here in our district. We're going to begin with Patrick Arciano. He has an Award of Merit in Literature and an Award of Merit in Photography. Come on up, Patrick. Our next award winner is Ariel Cohen. Come on up, Ariel. She received an Award of Merit in Literature. Next, we have Braden Mackey Elliott with an Award of Merit in Photography. Next is Olivia Stewart with an Award of Excellence in Photography. Next, we have Lena Peroni with an Award of Merit in Photography. And last but not least, we have Byron Lowe with an Award of Merit in Film Production. Byron is not with us tonight, but we would like to still congratulate him on his award.
All right. Thank you. Congratulations to all the winners. And I have the Board of Education come up and take a picture with Ms. Chaffee as well. Thank you. next presentation is our Natural Helpers Club. Excuse me, battling a cold. And to guide us through this, I'd like to introduce club advisors Ralph Milazzo and Nicole Hanovich. Would you please come up?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicole Hanovich. I'm a social studies teacher here at Whitman, and I'm also fortunate enough to be an advisor of Natural Helpers. Natural Helpers is a program that focuses on peer helping and raising awareness for mental health, something that is so important but can sadly be overlooked in our lives. I don't want to get into too much detail about our wonderful club because I think it's best to hear from the students and the members themselves. But before I pass the mic over, I do just want to take a moment to thank our administration, our board, and our wonderful community for all of your support. Not only do we feel it, but foundations and organizations across Long Island and even nationwide feel it as well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ariana to talk about our first major event of the year. Thank you.
Mr. Monti, I see you up there. As we go through the presentation, and I give you this little signal, can you just keep going to the next slide? Oh, actually.
Hello, my name is Ariana White, and I'm a junior, and I've been a part of Natural Helpers for 3 years. One of the first events I'm here to speak on today is Friendsgiving. Friendsgiving is one of our first social events we have in order to get to know new people and welcome new members into our club. During this event, we each bring a dish and eat with one another. Then we play a game to introduce ourselves. We also briefly talk about what is expected at the retreat in December, and this event allows one another to become comfortable with new faces within the club. Now I'll introduce Sam.
Hi, I'm Samuel Lopez. I've been a part of Natural Helpers for 3 years now, and every year Natural Helpers hosts a retreat. It's one of the best days ever in the school year. Personally, I've contributed a lot for Natural Helpers during the retreat, and we have many activities that we do throughout the day. It's kind of an entire day that we have to ourselves, and we just kind of bond a lot and have a lot of student-to-student interactions, and we get to know a lot of new faces, which we usually don't see throughout the school day because it's all through 9th through 12th graders, so it's really, really special. And some of the people that come and many different organizations like LIAT, Alateen, and some service dogs, which is kind of the best part of the day. And these all have different impacts on us students. For example, LIAT is for sex trafficking, and they help us kind of raise awareness on that and kind of more knowledge on kind of what's overseen in that kind of area. And then Alateen is for alcoholism and students who deal with that, and many people who don't really realize kind of the effects on that. And yeah, the retreat is really, really, really special for us students, but also for these organizations to kind of speak what they're for. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Charlotte Zafe. I'm a freshman at Whitman. I just joined the club, and the retreat has many activities, and a couple of them are yoga with Tona, which we do in the morning, which is really nice and peaceful. And then we do cross the line, where we line up in the hallway, and we could share experiences with each other, and if you did, you cross the line. And then we do sharing, which is we go into a room and basically you could be vulnerable with everybody, and you could share anything you would like. And for me, this is like kind of the most beautiful thing about the retreat, because it makes you feel more like a family. And like by the end, I really thought like I knew everybody and I felt really comfortable. And yeah, next up is Phil.
Hi, everyone. I'm a junior at Whitman, and I've been part of Natural Helpers for 3 years. So I'm going to be talking about the fundraising that Natural Helpers does. So throughout the year, the Natural Helpers undergo fundraising activities to not only raise money for causes, but also spread awareness. And I think that's very important because in times of high school, with stress with schoolwork, social problems with friends, I think it's good to know that you're not alone. So some fundraisers we've done include, if you look at the poster for the Suffolk County Period Pantry, as you see, 1 in 5 women cannot constantly afford feminine hygiene products. So to help solve this problem, we collected feminine hygiene products and we were able to donate them. And you can also look at the picture next to it. You'll see Mr. Milazzo and Ms. Hanovich, and in between this young lady, her mom had lung cancer. So in support, the Natural Helpers did a fundraiser to raise money and spread awareness for lung cancer. And some other fundraisers include suicide awareness and eating disorder awareness. These are all great examples of how we as a club play our part of spreading awareness and helping others here in South Huntington. The Natural Helpers Club plays a vital role in nurturing a supportive school environment through proactive peer support and community-oriented fundraising. We aim to continue making a positive impact on our school culture. We appreciate the board's support in recognizing the growth of this essential student initiative. Thank you. Now I introduce Helena.
Okay. Hello, I'm Helena Anglade. I'm a junior here, and I've been a part of Natural Helpers for 3 years. I will be speaking on the topic of Mental Health Awareness Month, and we do this in May. I want to start off by saying first that mental health is very important, and everybody should be taking care of their own mental health and have a healthy outlet for that. There's a lot of stigma around it where people may think like that someone who struggles with mental health is crazy, and that's obviously not true. And you may know somebody very close to you who struggles with that. But now I want to get into all the activities which we do. So we have Yoga with Tona, like our other activities, and we have Spirit Week. This is like a specific week in May where we have different themes, and a lot of the staff and students enjoy like participating in these activities. And throughout the week, we also sell tickets for our raffle for Pie a Teacher in the Face. And we have raised over, there's a video, we have raised over $200 this month for NAMI, and personally I'm very proud of that for us as a group, and this is a very nice thing. But overall, our goal for this month is just to raise awareness of the stigma and help others and just make sure they don't have to go through anything alone, and they always feel comfortable to talk to somebody about it, and that's why we have Natural Helpers. Thank you. Up next is Hannah.
Good evening. My name is Hannah Kazin. I'm a freshman and a new member of Natural Helpers. I am here to discuss the importance of Natural Helpers. Natural Helpers is a club in awareness of the message, it's okay to not be okay. Members are encouraged to spread information and awareness regarding mental health as it is something extremely important to be recognized. It overall highlights that you are never alone and can always reach out for help. Thank you for your time.
Great job, guys. Just in conclusion, I've done a lot of stuff in South Huntington. I feel like I've been here a long time and did a bunch of roles, but there's nothing more that I feel like has been impactful in my career and in my life in general than the impact of the great work that these Natural Helpers have done. They are the reason why people want to come to school. They are the people that help people that are going through tough times, and there's not anything more important in life than being kind, and some of the other awards that were presented are great representatives of that. So these guys are representatives of what's great about South Huntington, and I'm really proud of the work that the Natural Helpers put in. So thank you so much for your support.
Our next up is our transportation presentation, but before we get to that, we're just going to take a 2-minute break, let everybody stretch, and anyone that needs to use the restrooms. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay. All right. Places? All right, now moving on to our last presentation of the night, which is our Transportation Committee report. This follows the work of our pre-K committee that reported out a couple meetings ago. And the Transportation Committee report has been led by, and the committee rather, has been led by Superintendent for Business, Mr. Conway, and our Walden High School Principal, Dr. John Murphy. They've done a great job, and they're here tonight to present their results to the community and the board. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ciapetta. I'd also like to thank Mr. Conway. It's been very informative in terms of just learning more about transportation. We spent a number of days over the year. I have a couple people I'd like to thank because this was a labor of love for many of our community members and as well as employees. So thank you so much to Mike Conway, Simone Blum, Lisa Brenner, Laura Brothers, Dana Chaffee, Pat Dillon, Susan Krakow, Debbie Caden, Naomi Radatz, Tamara Rustavo, Josue Daniel Rivera, and Dr. Jim Wright. Miss Anita Ramirez, who's a teacher representative, as well as some of our administrators, Ms. Colon and Mr. D. Martinez, as well as our student representative, Grace DiMarinis. All these people took time out of their schedule to make sure that we were able to address some of the things that were going on with transportation and come up with a clear outline and expectation for what the community thought was the best way to move forward. I'd like to call up Mr. Conway.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy. So what this slide tries to picture here is just a recap and snapshot of what the current transportation department looks like in terms of staffing, equipment, and an average number of runs. So as you can see up there, on average, we have approximately 37 large buses and 27 vans. They cover, on an average day, 51 in-district runs. If you do the math, you'll see a slight differential in the number of pieces of equipment versus the runs, and that's spares that we require. Things for such items as breakdowns, DOT service, if they're out of service for general maintenance. So that breaks out the number of runs versus the number of pieces of equipment we have. As far as our contract vendor, that's Educational Bus. On a daily average, they provide 23 large buses and 12 vans, covering roughly 33 in-district runs. And then an outline here in the center part of the slide here, just an overview of the staff at the Transportation Department. It's led by Ms. Laura Brothers, our transportation supervisor. There's some office staff and dispatchers. We have our consultant, Dr. Jim Wright. Approximately 54 drivers, 10 matrons, and 4 mechanics on staff. And we just note here, the last couple of years, we've begun the pilots, which are now fully in effect for late buses. There are two runs at Stimson between 4:30 and then again at 5:15, which takes 2 large buses and 1 van on average. And then again, Silas, that run is at 4:30, which is 3 large and 2 vans. And the number of runs and number of pieces of equipment for the late buses, that fluctuates depending on the time of year and the various activities going on.
So now, based on what our current needs are and what we utilize within our own district transportation, as well as some of the vendors that we utilize, the committee came up with goals for the transportation community, and we had four main goals that we wanted to cover over our meetings to see if we could correct or better support ourselves in terms of district and our transportation needs. And the first of our focus was to prioritize on the safety and well-being of our students while being responsive to the needs of our families and community members. This is more especially with the amount of runs, safety within the school, within our school buses, and just make sure that our parents were and our students were safe and our parents were happy. One of the other things we explored was the cost-saving measures wherever we could in terms of being responsible towards the taxpayer and making sure that, again, keeping our student safety in mind, that we are not overwhelming the buses or our runs, but being fiscally responsible. The other part, or the other goal we had was to discuss a 3 to 5 year plan of bus purchases, because as I mentioned, we use private vendors, and see if we can take back some of our routes to reduce our reliance on these third-party vendors, because we felt that there may be a cost savings in that, and that was something that our committee was going to explore. The other thing we were going to look to do was have an independent traffic study to see how we can better suit the needs of our community and help with the congestion of traffic. And we did this around the area of Memorial School as well as Silaswood, around the neighboring streets, to see how and if there was any congestion due to the transportation that we were utilizing with both our private and our personal bus transportation needs. At this time, I'd like to call up, as I mentioned, we did a traffic study. I'd like to call up Wayne Muller and Kian Cody. They were from R&M Engineering, and they did the findings, or they looking at Silaswood and Memorial and what our traffic needs were there. So if you could please come up.
People might want to move into the front row because we're going to have I guess, you're going to have a presentation in the back. Is that correct?
No, they're just speaking.
Oh, just speaking? Okay.
No, they're just speaking.
Okay, thank you. Never mind.
My name is Kian Cody. I'm joined by Wayne Muller. We are traffic engineers from R&M Engineering. Our office is over in Huntington Village. We were contracted by the district to provide 2 traffic studies. The traffic studies were prepared in order to analyze 2 different scenarios that were currently being contemplated by the district with regards to traffic at Silas and traffic at Memorial. The first scenario involved moving the current students from Silas, the 6th grade students, over to where Long Island School for the Gifted is, currently at Memorial along Pigeon Hill Road. The second scenario included centralizing the various pre-K programs from across the different schools where they're currently active into what should be now the now vacant Silas Wood building. So those are the 2 scenarios we analyzed. We prepared 2 separate traffic studies analyzing both. As part of both studies, we collected a significant amount of data. We had a very wide scope. We collected data at multiple intersections, both within the vicinity of Silas Wood and of the Memorial School building. We collected data at 7 intersections along Pigeon Hill Road, all the way from Jericho Turnpike, including a number of the little neighborhood roads, all the way down to that Four Corners intersection by St. Anthony's. We also studied 10 intersections along Silas Wood, the roads coming in, the 3 main roads coming in, Harding, and then a couple roads along 110. We then took that data and we use it to create traffic models using specialized software. That traffic software, we essentially draw in the different intersections and how the roads are set up. And what that software does is it follows the highway capacity manual, which analyzes sort of the operation of each intersection. After we create the models, we input things like signal timing, phasing, and various other roadway geometrics in there, and it essentially tells us how well those intersections will operate. We then took the 2 scenarios and we worked with the district on figuring out exactly how much traffic is going to be added by each scenario and how much traffic we're going to need to remove. For instance, the Silas Wood scenario with the pre-K going in there and Silas coming out, the pre-K would be starting a little bit later in the day, ending a little bit earlier in the day. Silas, I believe, goes right now from 8 to 3. The pre-K programs, they'd have the before care and after care programs, which are currently being proposed, which would go from 7 to 5:30, I believe. And then we discussed with the district, we're going to be splitting the main block of dismissal and arrival into 3 half-hour periods, dispersing that traffic across an hour-and-a-half span. So it's essentially going to be about the same as Silas, but spread out more and a little bit nicer to commuters as it's going to be starting a little bit later. In terms of Memorial, the process was essentially figuring out how much of the traffic was related to Long Island School for the Gifted, which will no longer be there in the future, and then taking what we saw at Silas during our observations and shifting it down onto Pigeon Hill Road. In terms of that, I think the main focus that we were looking at was how it interacts with St. Anthony's and their traffic, and we did provide a very detailed analysis of that. But the best part about that is where the district boundary ends is essentially at that intersection to the south, that Four Corners intersection. There's really only a little bit of the district to the southwest of that. So by removing Long Island School for the Gifted and only having maybe 10% of the district down there, you're not really sending a lot of traffic through that intersection, which I know is currently something that the town and the district are asking to get looked at. But what we found was the Memorial Hill project wouldn't really aggravate that intersection at all past what it is currently, because there's not a lot of traffic going through there related to South Huntington. What we do with that traffic and then the traffic that we add into the models is then we compare the operation of the intersection with the new traffic and then as it is right now. And we essentially compare delays and levels of service. Levels of service are essentially like a school grade, and A is good and F is bad. B's and C's are in the middle. And essentially what we found was there's going to be minor impacts in both scenarios. We only found at the library signalized driveway, when you come in right now, it's sort of a loop, and then you have a signal to get out. That was really the only intersection that would be slightly affected. Everything else would remain at the current level of service, which is how we evaluate these intersections and figure out if they will or will not have a significant impact. And the other intersection was one of the ones near Silas. It was, I believe, 21st at New York State 110. And that's, I don't know if you're familiar with the area, but it's where the supermarket is, and that intersection is sort of offset. So the west leg is north, and then the east leg is south. So that intersection functions by something we call split phasing, which is this one, the northern one has to go alone before the other one can go. So by its nature, it takes about 20 seconds longer to get through the cycle length on there. So the delays are going to be a little bit higher at that intersection anyway. So ultimately, our conclusions were the two proposed scenarios weren't going to really have a significant impact on the roadways within the area. And this was sort of benefited by how the district's structuring everything. With the Memorial School building, we're essentially removing a school and adding a little bit busier of a school. So it's going to be school traffic regardless of if you're in that area. St. Anthony's, we found, does start a little bit earlier than what we're having with the 8 o'clock start. And the majority of the traffic is retained to that southern portion of Pigeon Hill Road. You don't really have too much going all the way north to Jericho because of how far range St. Anthony's pulls from. A lot of that traffic is coming off the Northern State Parkway, going onto Wolf Hill Road, and then going back out. So we didn't really see too many issues. Pigeon Hill Road's also a pretty free flow road. There's only 3 signals on it from Jericho to the library to the Four Corners. And other than that, you pretty much go right through. Silas, like I said, we only saw a slight increase in delay at that one intersection. Everything else around there is unsignalized really, and what we'd really be doing there with the way the district's structuring it is you get the before and after care where people would be coming in the morning when Silas currently is really active, where it won't be active anymore, and then you start spreading it out starting at 8:30, 9, and 9:30 for the arrival, and then later on you have that 5.5 hours, and then the programs end, and it ends between 1:30 and 3 when no commuters are really on the roads. So essentially we found that Silas benefits based off the more dispersed traffic and less impact on the commuter traffic along Jericho and 110. And then Memorial, you're essentially just trading school for school. I'm happy to answer any questions the board or the public may have regarding the project.
Are there any mitigation measures that you're recommending?
Not currently. We didn't see anything that would strike as something that would require mitigation. The intersections that I discussed that we did see some delays at are still well within are operating well above capacity still. They're still in the C's range and things like that. So normally we'd only recommend mitigation if we're pushing it down, past an E to an F or something to that measure. Most likely your people in the area will see a few seconds more at each of the lights, depending on what approach they're going to be at and what time of day they're there. But it really shouldn't be too different from what's going on right now.
And I don't know if this was part of your scope. Did you look at like Silas Wood and whether, how the traffic should be routed in at what streets or whether there needed to be any improvements?
We do something like that. We do distribute the new traffic onto the roadway systems, but in this case, because we had observations from how Silas functions right now with students coming in and parents coming in and where they're lining up and things like that. I know we're not going to have buses associated with the pre-K, so you gain that bus loop for additional drop-off, and we have it being spread out across that hour and a half, which means the parents shouldn't be, on top of each other, which, is nice. And that way we can spread it out. I know a large portion seem to be coming from 23rd and up through the back because you can turn off onto Depot or another road from Jericho and come up that way. And the district's pretty spread out with some coming from the west, some coming from the north, some coming from the east, and some coming from the south. And one aspect I haven't really touched on is we're not really adding new traffic to the district. We're shifting things around. So people that were going to Silas that now are going to Memorial, instead of going through on Jericho, might just now be making a turn, and vice versa for people dropping off at Memorial.
Right, it's
Or
the same
at,
number of
Silas.
cars. You're not adding, it's not like a new business is coming, we're.
Yeah, it's just shifting things around and maybe changing timings a little bit. People's paths will change, but we're not really adding to the whole district in terms of traffic.
Questions from the board? Mr. Bronson?
Thank you. So I had two questions. One is, I was a little unclear, as far as the start time, or as far as in the traffic study, was the start time for Memorial staggered from St. Anthony's, just because I live in that area, and I know that when St. Anthony's gets out, it's very difficult at the 5 points there, and it also is difficult up at Jericho. So if it's staggered, and it's just spreading out the volume as opposed to just adding more volume at the same time. So I wasn't too sure how that was factored in.
We did provide some level of recommendations to the district regarding the start times, but ultimately with the current busing schedule, having to go from school to school it's fairly strict. We only have about 5 minutes of play. We do recommend, they push it towards 8 and maybe 8:05 if they can. And then in the evenings, 3 p.m. seems like a good time already. And I know the Montessori is still at Memorial, and they're going to be working with the district and trying to structure theirs so it's not overlapping too. So they are trying their best within what they can feasibly do with the bus schedule to sort of work with St. Anthony's.
And the other question I had is, to what extent does the traffic study take into account? So you are correct that the district tends to be north of Wolf Hill and the 5 points there, but I also know that, a certain number of parents, especially in the 6th grade, will actually drive their child to school. And then what happens is, like, for example, myself, when I go to work, even though the district is mostly north, I take the Parkway, so I'm going that direction. So as part of the study, is it looking also at the traffic flow of people that would be dropping off and then continuing elsewhere on the island?
Yeah, we did take that into account. We did assign a portion of the traffic to make that southbound left turn onto Wolf Hill Road after it exited from Memorial in the mornings.
Thank you.
Mr. Joyner, sorry.
Thank you for undertaking this effort. My question to you is regarding, is this front-facing in terms of years and regarding population increases for both buildings?
We did not account for any growth in the area for the study. We weren't exactly sure when the switch would be implemented. I believe Huntington's not a super high population growth. I think it's a 1% per year, something along those lines is the average growth factor, and that's provided to us by the New York State DOT. I may be a little off with 1%, but it's something around there. Normally on something, when we do like a new construction or anything like that, we project 2 years into the future, but in this case, it's just swapping from one building to another, and we just essentially said it's going to happen next year or something like that.
Mr. Bronson.
Sorry, I don't know if this was part of your study or not. Some of the traffic lights in town, I think at the 5 points, it appears to be some sort of a camera or device. Is that, I don't know, are those active, and does that also help with the traffic flows, the volume, or you're so congested in every direction it really doesn't really impact the flow?
So the Five Corners intersection is a little bit of an interesting intersection. I can sort of explain how it works right now, how the phasing works. Essentially, each approach has a left turn, so how signals work is left turns usually go first. If you're driving and you have a left turn arrow, usually you go, then the through traffic goes, then it swaps to the next road, the lefts go, and then the throughs goes. So in this case, Wolf Hill Road and Old Country Road both have lefts that will go first, and then each through phase will go, and Pigeon Hill Road has its own special phase alone where it goes unimpeded against any other traffic flow. And how those signals work are what's known as actuated signals, which is like the cameras, or if you notice when you're driving around, there might be sort of rectangular bits in the asphalt that you can see where the left turns are, and those are induction loops, and they essentially detect presence of vehicles. And what those do is, first they tell the signal, there's a car there, you need to run this left turn phase when it happens. Or sometimes, if there's no car there, it skips it entirely to make it go a little bit faster. It also adds time to the light. So essentially, every car that drives over these loops or that gets seen by the camera adds a set amount of time up to a maximum. And essentially, yes, the Five Corners intersection pretty much hits maximums every time, especially during arrival and dismissal. But like I said, we're not really adding traffic to that. I know the town itself has looked at that intersection multiple times and is aware that it is, a rough intersection. And I'm sure that Scott Spittle with the town is aware of it and is trying to implement it. It's just, past a certain point, there's not much you can do in terms of a volume standpoint. You just have that many cars going there.
So do you agree that the signal is not steady enough at that intersection to let traffic, I mean, particularly I think it's on making the left from Pigeon Hill Road, onto Wolf Hill Road to go to the northern state, but do you think that needs to be steady for a longer period of time?
It's hard to say. We haven't messed around with the timings there at all.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. I couldn't hear what you said.
We haven't adjusted any of the timings with it, and we haven't looked into that, mainly because we didn't see any significant changes as a result of our new traffic going on there. It's something that maybe it would be worth contacting the town to look into more, sort of light a fire under them and make them more aware of that.
Okay. Did you see it as an issue, though, or something that we should follow up with them on?
We did see that the intersection operates around a level of service of E, and then some movements do operate at a level of service of F, but there's not much we can do without, because if you take time away from one leg, it has to go to another, and if you make the cycle length long, which it currently is very long because it has the extra Pigeon Hill Road, you just essentially, or I'll put it this way, if you're sitting at that light, you have to wait for each other road to go. And no matter what, you're going to be sitting there for 80 seconds to let that go. It's just the minimum amount of time for those other legs to go. So even if it wasn't hitting the exact maximum each leg, you'd still be waiting for 2 extra legs. It's really the issue is the 5 legs of the intersection.
Gotcha.
Because of that, you get that extra 40 seconds for Pigeon Hill Road that you wouldn't get at a 4-legged intersection, which is what bumps that waiting time up significantly.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Mr. Bronson?
Yeah, and I would just make a comment for the record. So what happens also is at the 5-point lights from Pigeon Hill onto Wolf Hill, you will get that left-hand turn signal. Unfortunately, the timing of the light at Wolf Hill and Carmen Road is not necessarily in sync. So what happens is that light turns red, it then causes backup, and cars will typically block the intersection, so then other cars can't go, and it just only adds to the problem. So to your point about the town of Huntington, the cycling of the road, the left-hand Pigeon Hill Road onto Wolf Hill, and the cycling of the Wolf Hill and Carmen Road, that should be better timed by the town of Huntington, because that is a bottleneck that's probably could be fixed, and I'm not too sure why, I'm not a traffic person, but I think if you sync those 2 lights together, because the Wolf Hill and Carmen Road is a very low volume intersection, there's not a lot of turns, most of them actually just turn right into Carmen Road to go onto the LIE eventually, so that light could be a longer green light and it would actually help with the traffic flow, so if anybody from the town of Huntington Traffic Department's listening, I'd urge you to look into the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Meyer?
Thank you so much for the detailed analysis, but just to summarize, based on the models that you ran and the traffic study that was conducted, you don't anticipate turning Memorial into a 6th grade center to significantly increase traffic flow through the 5 corners, right?
No, we didn't see any significant degradations in the levels of service at any of the intersections, besides, like I had pointed out, at the actual library driveway, which still is in the C or above range, so it's still operating below its capacity. Obviously, there are, the 5 corners intersection operates as it is, but like I said, we're not adding too much to that. And then Jericho already deals with a decent amount of northbound traffic coming out of there, but it didn't push it past any certain point based off our analysis.
And did you look at, I assume not, whether the parking lots themselves, whether Memorial or Silas Wood, whether they should be reconstructed to allow traffic to flow better internally?
We did not look at internal circulation regarding either site, and we also didn't review the parking regarding either site. It was mainly a focus on just those two scenarios and sort of relocating that traffic.
Okay, great. I know you didn't look at it, did you have any opinion on that?
I personally had observed the current drop-off and pickup at both Silas and Memorial for both the sixth grade center. Sixth grade center, when I was there for dismissal, it cleared out very quickly. It was done in maybe like 10, 15 minutes. It was pretty good. It's probably, I've seen a couple schools do arrival and dismissal. It was probably one of the better ones that I've seen. And then when I went for arrival for Memorial, it worked out mainly that Long Island School for the Gifted starts earlier than Montessori does. So it is spread out, and they do have a fairly long loop road that goes from the library all the way down where they can have buses drop off. So it does seem to function pretty well right now.
Other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Conway, Dr. Murphy, continue with your report.
Thank you very much, Kian. One thing I'd like to mention just on one of the points he mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as the traffic and the buses going up and down Pigeon Hill Road, if I remember correctly, all of the buses that would be the sixth grade going to the new Memorial Building were coming from north to south. The only one that would be in the Four Corners intersection, if you will, I believe was a single bus, just because of where the current population is. So that also helped in terms of we'd have one of our buses going through that St. Anthony's intersection. Everything else is pretty much coming north to south. So that was a positive. The other question I asked them to just objectively to say, hey, if I lived anywhere in one of these areas of town today, and then I were to move in 2 or 3 years from now, would I notice something significantly different 1 year over the next? And the short answer really was no. You're literally talking, depending on the traffic light, seconds, 5 seconds, 20 seconds. So nothing significant that should trigger anyone in terms of, asking themselves what may have happened. I'm going to let John jump in with these recommendations.
So the recommendations we had with the committee is that we agreed that we wanted to pursue both large buses and vans to expand our fleet and make it that our district is providing the transportation and being self-sustaining rather than hiring companies. We felt that this was fiscally responsible. We felt that this equipment in the long run would be cheaper if we are able to do these runs ourselves. We also believe that we can hire bus drivers, as we've seen in the past, wherever possible, as we continue to do this now. And we're looking to possibly adjust start and end times to help with some of what you talked about with the traffic study, make sure that we're minimizing any buildups in traffic. Knowing that it's the same amount of cars and moving different places, we felt that adjustments of 5, very short adjustment times within some of our elementary schools would help benefit with that, and the committee felt and agreed with that. Last but not least, the district, we should explore getting a crossing guard. If we're moving over to Memorial being the sixth grade center, that a crossing guard be in place over by the library, especially for those students that live across the street, because it is a busy road, and there is not sidewalks, which we also talked about going and getting in touch with the town. The sidewalks kind of stop as you move and curve around. There's some sidewalks, and then there ceases to be a sidewalk in certain areas, and we wanted to make sure students are safe. So these are some of just the recommendations, and we felt that buying these buses or having a 3 to 5 year plan in order purchasing these buses or these transportation tools would also be beneficial.
Let me stop you there for a second. In terms of the acquisition of new buses and the adjusted time schedule, so do those go hand in hand? And is there one that happens first, or you don't adjust the time schedule until more buses have been acquired?
Buses have to come first, and that's why we're being very particular and careful, is that this is not, we work and value the work we have with our private organizations in terms of our transportation departments. But really what we need to do is start building up our fleet of small and large buses before then even considering taking on these extra routes before becoming self-sustaining. So that's why, even though we would be purchasing these buses through our yearly budget, that we would not be looking to taking over all our runs until we had the fleet and the manpower to be able to do that.
And the crossing guard, that comes from Suffolk County?
That's Suffolk County Police Department. They work with the second precinct there. Once we've requested that would be conversations with the second precinct in order to secure that crossing guard. And they would obviously probably have to do their own traffic study just to make sure that we would need it. But it's something that all buildings, and they know when there's around a school, an active school, they have to have one.
And do we know whether the number of walkers changes significantly or at all
when, over in that area versus at the Silaswood area?
In the study we looked in talking with transportation, one of the things we looked at was the community across from Pigeon Hill, or excuse me, across from Memorial, and looking how many actually are in that area, because obviously getting a crossing guard and not having the sidewalks. And there were only a few, I believe it was 7 or 8, excuse me, 3. 3 students on that side. So these are things we're looking. So in terms of walking from Memorial, it'd be more bus transportation than it would be actual walkers. But still, nonetheless, we don't know, that can change in 10 years, and you can have more students in that area. That's why the need for a crossing guard and just having this in place before we move forward is important.
Yeah, I was just wondering if they would would they supply one then if there's such a limited number?
It would. They have, any school building has to have a crossing guard, especially across, moving in a road with the high traffic.
Okay. Thank you.
And I have, after one of our committee meetings, I did reach out to our school resource officer to understand what that process would look like. And we plan on, soon after this meeting, drafting a letter to the 2nd precinct to formally request that, if that's the direction the board would like us to go in. As far as these final recommendations, the top one there, number 5, Dr. Murphy already spoke to. We also would plan on preparing a letter to the town of Huntington requesting a review of sidewalks to both be sure they're in adequate condition, as well as in the appropriate spots to allow the safety of the students that are walkers to travel that area. Point 6 and 7, I'm not going to regurgitate that. They've gone through it in detail with the study, but the long and short of those 2 points is there was really no significant traffic issue to the local community and the folks that live in those areas, whether it be Silas or Memorial, as far as traffic and changes. So that luckily was negligible there. And one other point the committee requested is that this document itself be a lasting record for future Board of Education, future administration, and future decision-making.
And Dr. D'Elia, we post all of this information on our website, correct?
Yes, it'll be up there tomorrow morning.
With the backup as well as the traffic impact study?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And also, just to go back to one of your questions, Mrs. Ciapetta, regarding the entrance and exit of Silas Wood, we would definitely want to utilize the south end if the board decides to make it a pre-K center. So we would have the front U there, and then we'd also utilize the entrance exit by the solar arrays parking lot, and we would definitely take that into consideration to make sure to ease traffic flow.
Okay. In the final couple slides here, we'll just briefly run through some conceptual savings plan. The first 3 bullets there we've seen in prior presentations, even dating back to the fall. But just to give a rough recap, in today's dollars, for an average educational large bus route, we pay them around $125,000 a year. Our approximate cost per driver with benefits is roughly $55,000, therefore indicating a rough average of savings, approximately $70,000 per run that we can take back from the vendor over time. That is something we are continuing to do and have done. This current year, we've taken back, I believe, 3.5 routes, the half meeting either an AM or PM. So just because the start and end time changes may not happen until 3 or 4 or 5 years out when we have equipment, it doesn't mean we're pausing on the goal to keep taking back routes one at a time and save money in that regard. So that was still focused on and actively doing.
Any change on the impact, if you're increasing the fleet at all, whether we need any more maintenance or mechanics over there then?
I'll jump down to the last bullet to answer that. We don't anticipate that. I'll jump to the final point on there to answer your question, is essentially the newer our fleet becomes, in theory, it should just turn into be more of oil change, brake, routine maintenance. The advantage is, and I'll jump to the center section with the auction and salvage value. Historically, the district has kept vehicles roughly 15 to 20 years. By that point, when we bring it to auction, we're getting very, very little. Part of the goal here would be if we keep them 8 to 10 years, they're still in really good shape. We're able to get significantly more in terms of resale value, and obviously, therefore, reducing some maintenance costs. And now I'm working from the bottom up. Speaking to state aid, currently for 25-26, our transportation aid reimbursement rates are around 57.6%. And what that means in terms of bus purchases, currently if we buy a gas or diesel bus, we get reimbursed over 5 years. The electric buses we'll speak to in a moment, but that would be over an 8-year period. So for example, if we purchased a $100,000 bus, we're getting $57,600 back over a 5-year period, plus a small amount of interest. So those are factors that are not insignificant, and they're just to be mindful of in terms of back-end costs or back-end money coming back to the district.
And is debt service on the purchase of the bus as well, or?
Historically, we have paid for them cash, but the state, regardless of the fact if we pay for them, they still give you the state aid on the cost price plus a slight interest factor as if we had borrowed for it. So our aid is factored in on that. You want to jump in on that?
So, as we mentioned before, just to wrap it up, recommendation of the committee that was after our last meeting was that the sixth grade centers move to Memorial, as well as establishing the pre-K classes at Silas Wood. Based upon the traffic study, we completely think that that is a feasible scenario to be able to do and accomplish. We would work with the town of Huntington, as mentioned before, in the second precinct, to address any of those safety concerns we talked about, which is sidewalks on Pigeon Hill Road as well as a crossing guard. And we believe that the committee believes that moving towards a self-sufficient system in terms of in-district transportation is needed, that this should be a 3 to 5 year cycle where we're able to take back many of our runs and become more self-sufficient in terms of doing transportation on our own and being able to provide that so that it, given the cost that Mr. Conway has said, it should cost us much less in order to doing that on our own rather than paying these other companies to do this for us. And that we will continue to look as we purchase these buses and are these drivers and take over our routes to look at the start and end times of the elementary level to a minimum once moving maybe some 5 and 10 minutes just to make sure we're able to address either traffic concerns or being able to run those runs privately or within our own district.
And the routes that we would take back first, is there a priority? They're mostly at the high school. Is that where the private contracting routes are right now?
Yes.
So it'd come from the secondary?
Mm-hmm.
Electric bus, okay. And we'll close out the.
Board have any, sorry.
Sorry, just we'll close out the presentation with some recent information regarding electric buses. Of course, that's the,
That's our favorite
multi-million-dollar question, tens of millions of dollar question that looms over every school district's head at this point. So I'll briefly run through these points that just came up. Obviously, the current timeline we've been working with is all new bus purchases must be electric by 2027, and those buses on the road must be electric by 2035. That being said, with the recent New York State budget, some information they've included with regards to that is they are now talking about extensions to that deadline. The first one, I may come out of order here, but I'll just speak to some of these points. They're proposing 2 24-month extensions, so potential of 48 months possible extensions. The first one will be on SCD's website, we are told, by December 31st. We obviously don't know exactly what it looks like, but it's the intention at this point that I assume the district would file for that first extension. Before a second extension would be granted, we would have to have a fleet electrification plan done, and then NYSERDA is the organization. They would have to be on site at least once a year to work with the district to either find out what obstacles exist and or how to overcome them to, recommend to the state whether or not we could get a second waiver. South Huntington, quite a while back, we've already been working on this plan. We're having our final conversations, what that electrification plan looks like, so more to come on there. But I can tell you at this point, based on the preliminary conversations we've had, exclusive of bus purchases, just the infrastructure needed, is north of $10.5 million. That's exclusive of potential aid or rebates, but in gross dollars, we're looking north of $10.5 million based on today's dollars, exclusive of any union regulations and things like that that may come into play. As far as cost of construction, I just want to make sure I touched base on there. Another factor is the sellers of these electric buses would be required to have independent range estimates. Those range estimates need to factor in things such as the terrain. Is it a mountainous school district in New York? Is it flat terrain? Temperature changes. Are the buses stored indoors, outdoors? As well as the battery degradation, the battery loss of life per every 10,000 miles. So those are a lot of unknowns right now. And we have to ask ourselves, even if we had a blank check and all these buses were available, is it the right thing? So there's still a lot of unknowns, but
And
we
has the
wanted to
state
share
even
this
done a
with the board.
study of our roadways to determine whether our roadways can handle the heavy?
Sorry, the first part of your question, I'm sorry.
Has the state even done a study of the roadways in the state to determine if they can handle the heft of the electric buses, because they're a lot heavier than
I haven't heard anything from the state yet. The way we've worked this study with Wendell, who
I figured not, so that's
the Wendell study that we've worked with, that's paid for by the NYSERDA right now. We told them a year ago, or in the fall, when the concept of potentially changing building locations, they have to build in a factor of cushion to our routes. So what they typically do is add in a 10% waste factor, if you will, for mileage and routes, and obviously the geography changes every year where the students live. They've added to that cushion, if you will, so that depending on what happens with the ultimate location of Silas versus pre-K, they're telling us there's enough cushion built into the routes. Laura shared all the data with the routes and the number of students and the type of vehicles, and they put that into their modeling at this point.
Sorry, I was meaning that how heavy the vehicles are, the weight of the vehicles.
I'm sorry. So I answered a question you didn't ask. I apologize.
Yes.
No, I haven't heard anything regarding the weight and the infrastructure strain.
Yeah, I assume they haven't, and,
No.
I mean, why would they?
And I was going to say, a new wrinkle that came up recently is that I think China controls 90% of a rare earth minerals that's used to make electric vehicles. It's a problem that our auto manufacturers are having right now as far as continuing to produce electric vehicles. So the problem would obviously trickle down to the buses as well, so that may also increase the cost. So just, again, something that the state probably hasn't considered yet, just something that I read about recently, but it's yet another factor that may impact the ability to have electric buses in the near future.
Yeah, and to that point regarding cost, another thing that will now be factored into the consideration of whether or not we can get an extension is the availability of both state and federal funding. So, again, it's an evolution to see what this ultimately means, but at least it's good to see that the state is addressing some of these things, range, funding, things like that. But still,
On that
nevertheless.
last point, I was reading a memo over the weekend. It was a little bit confusing to me on the availability of the federal funding. It seemed like that was something that could, if the federal funding is not available, then that could be a pause of the whole thing rather than a basis for the individual district by district extension, but it wasn't clear or not. Do you know the answer to that?
I haven't heard anything in terms of clarity on funding side of it, other than the New York State budget says there's $100 million. And while that sounds like a lot, I just mentioned ours alone in today's dollars over 10 and a half. So I don't see how we would be able to fund it 100%.
That's
We're
just the
10% of the
infrastructure.
whole
That's
state.
not the cost of the bus itself.
That's exclusive of any bus.
Right.
The buses they're proposing, type A, type B, on average, $375,000 to low $400,000 range, versus a large bus we're buying today of roughly $125,000, and a van bus we're buying is about $100,000. So you're looking at least 4 times the cost, possibly more, obviously, a couple years out when we get to this point.
And nobody even knows there'd be availability when hundreds of districts need them at the same exact moment.
No, and the concern I have, and I'm sure we all share, is you have limited number of bus vendors in this area. Their entire business model is based on busing, and now they're forced to basically turn over an entire fleet at 4 times plus the cost. So what does that mean for the availability of our vendors? We just don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Conway. Questions for Mr. Conway on the electric buses? No? Okay. Question for Mr. Conway on the entire presentation. Ms. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Conway and Dr. Murphy, and thank you to the entire committee that put their time and effort into doing this. We really appreciate it. Less of a question, more of a suggestion or a recommendation. If part of the recommendation is to go to the town about sidewalks for safety for Pigeon Hill, I think we should also consider sidewalk safety for Stimson Middle School. There are tons and tons of walkers, and currently between the intersection of Oakwood Road and West 19th Street to West 19th Street and West Hills Road, it's extremely hazardous. Maybe Mr. Duggan can speak to this. I saw him a couple Fridays ago, halfway down West 19th Street. There's hardly any shoulder on the road at all. Lots of residents park their cars on the shoulder, forcing all of our students to walk down the middle of a double yellow lane road. So if we're going to make the request to the town, I think it would be prudent of us to assess, where
Sure.
all of our needs are and prioritize that
I
as
know
well.
when I pass there in the morning, there's typically 2 police cars, crossing guards for that purpose, but as far as the walkers, I don't see why we couldn't include that in
And the
our
crossing guards
letter.
and police officers are wonderful for everyone getting over Oakwood
Correct.
Road, but that main artery of West 19th Street out, it's extremely hazardous, and all you need is one person on their cell phone not paying attention, and it could be very disastrous. So, thank you.
Sure.
Also, if there's people from the Transportation Committee here, if you could please stand up so we can thank you for your service. I know there's some people. Thank you, appreciate it, thank you. Okay, other questions from the board on the recommendations? Okay, no, okay, and I'll open it up to the public to see if they have any questions on the report. I can't, it's dark out there, so we can't really see, so if you have any questions, just come up. Any questions on this report to Mr. Conway or Dr. Murphy? I don't see any. Okay, thank you, Mr. Conway. We're going to revisit this in a moment on new business item number 1. So, moving into new business, is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Any questions on the agenda? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Items E through H, the minutes, bids, which there are none, bills, require one resolution for adoption. Is there a motion? Mr. Joyner, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we have an invitation to Silas's 8th grade awards ceremony. Mr. Duggan, are you here? Would you like to discuss that? Hello, Mr. Duggan.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, we sent an invitation recently. We have our awards ceremony next week on June 10th. We're really excited to be honoring all of our fantastic 8th graders with academic awards, and we hope that you all can make it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. This is a new addition to this year, right?
This is a new addition, yes. We used to have a ceremony outside in the court, on the basketball courts at Stimson. When we went to the moving up ceremony, we changed it slightly, but we really think it's important to honor our students, so we're having a separate ceremony, again, on June 10th.
This is great. Excellent. Thank you. Nice idea. I remember going to the moving up ceremony on the playground. It was very nice, but the students would get their awards and they kind of crinkled them up, so. All right. Moving on to new business item number 1, discussion of pre-K and Transportation Committee findings. So this is kind of just a recap. It's not a vote on anything. We would like to, as said, our timeline for a vote would be at the next meeting, and things specifically that would have to be voted on. The board has to approve a resolution if they want to reopen the memorial building. That's required in order for us to get a beds number from New York State, which gives us the ability to get state aid on any construction improvements to that building. So thoughts from what we've heard so far on pre-K and Transportation Committee findings? Any concerns, thoughts, suggestions? In favor? Ms. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta, and again, thank you to both committees for all their hard work. It sounds like it makes sense to open Silas Wood as our pre-K center and move the 6th grade center to Memorial. And I think barring any other significant concerns that we find, we should move forward with that plan.
Okay. Other thoughts? Mr. Bronson.
I agree. I was concerned about the traffic, just as, again, I've experienced that area, but based on the traffic study, I also had the benefit of touring Memorial, and I know in its formal days, it was a middle school, or back in my day, a junior high school. And so it's really a great facility, and it really seems to be well designed for really a 6th grade center, as opposed to Silas Wood, which is also a lovely school, but seems to fit the pre-K model with the way the bathrooms are in the classrooms, et cetera. So it just from a facility standpoint, and given the traffic study, I'd also be supportive of making those changes.
Mr. Scragg, any comments?
I agree with both of my colleagues to honor the recommendations of both committees and the hard work that they put in to open up Silas as a pre-K center and Memorial as our 6th grade center. And yeah, I'm happy with the results of our committee's work, so thank you.
Mr. Joyner?
I agree, absolutely in favor. As Andrew mentioned, we had the opportunity to take a tour of Memorial, which really fit the vision that we have for the school district. And I believe, honestly believe that our parents and families will be very happy with the changes and look forward to supporting it.
Great, thank you, Mr. Joyner, and I concur as well. I think it'll be a great change to our district, great additions. I believe that adding the memorial property back onto as a school building offers us enormous opportunities. To host a sixth grade center, obviously, is one, as well as opens up a great space in there for community activities, as well as our sports teams as well. It adds additional beautiful basketball court, and it also adds multiple cafeterias and a separate performing arts center. So it gives a lot of more additional spaces for our facilities uses. We get a lot of requests on our facilities, and particularly at the high school, so we can defer some of the things from the high school to Memorial, and I think it's just an ideal setting for our sixth grade to be at. I think they're going to thrive over there. I think its proximity to the library is also a great benefit. So I agree with my colleagues and look forward to formally approving that at the next board meeting. All right. Moving on to item number 2 is the approval of a fuel agreement. Is there a motion? Mr. Joyner, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Mr. Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Tonight before the board for approval is a request to renew and continue the existing intermunicipal agreement we currently have in place with the town of Huntington. The town has already approved this extension at their board meeting on May 13th. This agreement, for those who may not remember, was entered into last fiscal year for the beginning of this fiscal year, 24-25, with the intention of having our districts and vehicles and buses that use gasoline, not diesel, to fill up the town fueling stations.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Conway. So we just completed the first year, and I think it's been a success. You would concur?
100%. In terms of some dollar savings, as well as the efficiency, there are security rings on each vehicle married up to the pump at the town, so you cannot put gasoline in any vehicle unless it was one predetermined and approved by the district with the installation of a ring.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Conway. Questions from the board? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, next we have the approval of the health service agreement between South Huntington and New Hyde Park, Garden City, Union Free School District. Motion. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Mr. Conway again.
Thank you. Tonight for approval is a contract between South Huntington and New Hyde Park, Garden City Park, that will be for health services they are providing to two students attending the Notre Dame School that reside in South Huntington.
Okay, questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to new business item 4 is the approval of a confidential stipulation agreement, excuse me, regarding a student discussed in executive session. Motion. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to new item number 5 is the approval of the destruction of ballots from the 2024 election and budget vote. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Ms. Caliendo.
Yes, the retention schedule for ballots that are cast, spoiled, or unused from a district's annual budget vote and election is 1 year after the election. I am therefore requesting approval from the board to have last year's ballots destroyed in an appropriate manner from the annual budget vote and election of May 21st, 2024.
Okay, questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Caliendo. And moving on to new business item number 6 is the approval for board-elect member to attend the Nassau-Suffolk School Board Association annual new board member orientation meeting at the Heritage Club at Bethpage. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, and that's for Ms. Geraldine Clark to attend, and we want to congratulate her again on her election at our last meeting. Congratulations. All right. Oh, there she is. Happy birthday as well. As I said, I cannot see anybody back there. All right, moving on to item number 7, recommendations for the placement of students by the committees on special education and preschool special education. Various states are listed. Motion. Ms. Meyer, second. Mr. Bronson, any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, personnel is up next. We have personnel schedules 2, 5, 6, 9, 11, 15, 16, 19, 20, and 22. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Do we have any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to committee reports. We have the Facilities Committee. The minutes are provided. Facilities Committee met on April 30th. We discussed a number of items. I'm going to make my report short because I'm coughing a lot. But we're going to upgrade our hand dryers throughout the school district so that our students are able to dry their hands a lot quicker than they currently are. Our hand dryers are kind of ancient right now. And you probably have also seen, I believe, that new signage has been installed at the elementary buildings. Is that correct? They look beautiful. Over at Birchwood, Countrywood, and Maplewood, right? Correct. Okay. So we have a consistent look across the district. And we also discussed upcoming capital projects. And now that the budget passed, we are able to move full speed ahead with a number of those capital projects that were approved by the public. I want to thank the public for their support of Proposition 1, which contained those capital projects in there, as well as Proposition number 2, which created a capital reserve. Audit Committee, Mr. Bronson.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. The Audit Committee met on May 5th. The primary purpose of that meeting was to cover the facilities audit that we had voted on at the last board meeting. Just as a reminder to the public, that's an area that is considered high risk from an audit standpoint, but the findings were that it was a low risk. So congratulations to the facilities department on having a good audit. There are a couple of areas that have been recommended for improvement that are covered in the minutes, but they were all, they're in the process of being addressed, and none of them were substantial. We also went through our claims audit, as we usually do as well, but overall it was a good meeting. And our next meeting, for those that are interested, is at the end of August. I believe August 25th, but don't hold me to that date. But I know it's the end of August, and it is publicly available.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bronson. And future meetings, we have one future meeting. Well, we'll have more than that, but we have one left in the school year, and that's on June 17th. That will be back here at Walt Whitman High School. And that'll be a jam-packed meeting for sure. We're going to have our above and beyond recognitions. We'll recognize those teachers who have been newly granted tenure, as well as administrators who have been granted tenure. We'll celebrate retirees, and we have a number of student awards to wrap up the year on. Also, I want to recognize, since our last meeting, we've had one birthday. Happy birthday to Dr. D'Elia, who was had his birthday last Tuesday, May 27th. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Another year younger.
And to Dr. John Murphy, who's going to have his birthday on Saturday. Happy birthday, Dr. Murphy. All right, comments by board members. Mr. Bronson.
I just wanted to, I know I wish the mothers happy Mother's Day, and with Father's Day coming up on June 15th, I just wanted to wish all the fathers in the district a happy Father's Day as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bronson. Any other comments? That's Ms. Meyer, yes.
I'll be brief, but I just wanted to congratulate Ms. Kernicki as well as all of the Stimson administration and staff that held another very successful Challenger track meet this past week. Absolutely phenomenal, smiles abounding, and it's such an amazing event that our district is able to participate in, so thank you to you all.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer. Any other board member comments? All right. Dr. D'Elia.
Yes. First off, I'd like to congratulate Samuel Lopez Cardenas. I know he was here earlier. He's going to be competing this Friday at the United States Tennis Academy in Flushing, and he's competing for something that's pretty rare, especially here in South Huntington. So we wish him the best of luck in this tennis tournament, and we hope he can bring home the states. We're all rooting for him.
Also, he's already done great. He's already
phenomenal what he's accomplished.
County champ, which is very rare.
Very rare. Also, in the state budget that came out earlier, I know I spoke about it a few times regarding the new cell phone policy that must be posted up on our website by August 1st. I really want to take the time to recognize Ms. Amanda Kavanaugh for all her hard work in putting this together, putting the committee together. Thank you, Ms. Meyer, being on the committee, representing the board, and there's many other people that are on that committee, and putting it all together and following the state guidelines that are a little tricky, a little subjective, but I know you had a great meeting today. We're off to a great start, and I know we don't have a ton of time, but thank you for all your hard work and efforts there. Also want to thank the Transportation Committee. Thank you, Dr. Murphy, Mr. Conway, and I know we have members here that were part of it, donating your time to this very worthwhile cause and providing the board and myself with great information so they could make an informed decision. So thank you so much to all of you for putting in that time. Much appreciated. This afternoon when I entered into the high school, I was very happy to see, and thank you to the high school staff for getting all those senior pictures up on the fence. What makes me feel real proud is that I saw this in another district 5 years ago. I said, we have to bring it here. And Dr. Murphy has been awesome with his staff. And what was great was as I was pulling in, there were about 3 or 4 cars that were pulled over and they were taking pictures next to their picture. And that's awesome. So it's never going away. That's for sure. And also, we are off this Friday for Eid al-Adha. We've been sending out a lot of communications and more to come tomorrow, but we are off this Friday. That's my report. Thank you.
And the 19th as well, right, for Juneteenth?
Oh, yeah, so Juneteenth we're off as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dr. D'Elia. The well-decorated Gracie.
Thank you. Good evening. I actually have quite a bit to talk about tonight because in June we just take a lot of time to recognize student accomplishments, as we saw earlier, and there's a lot of celebrating, so I'm just going to talk about all of that today. To start, all of this week, field days for Oakwood and Countrywood are taking place, and then next week there are going to be picnics at Birchwood and Maplewood. I won't waste time listing dates and times. I know it's late, so I would check the district calendar and just keep it in mind. Moving on, PTA scholarships were handed out on Monday. Around 50 seniors received scholarships, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a total of $40,000 was awarded, which is really amazing. And then tomorrow, yearbook day is taking place at Whitman, so the last 3 periods of the day, students will be allowed to walk around, get their yearbook signed by anyone they would like, and it's a nice way to end the week considering we do have Friday off for Eid. Speaking of yearbooks, video yearbook night will take place after sunset on June 20th on Whitman's front field, but I was actually talking to a member of the Video Yearbook Club today, and this location is, as of right now, subject to change, so just look for updates on that. But it's a really nice event for the seniors. They get to spend one of their last nights together, and they watch all the skits, which the VY Club has worked very hard on this year, so I'm personally looking forward to it. I also have some Honor Society inductions to mention. June 2nd was National Honor Society. June 5th is going to be Theater Honor Society, and then June 9th is Triumph Music Honor Society. So I thought I'd mention these, and congratulations to those students. Now, back to next week. Next Friday specifically, there's a lot going on, starting with 6th grade field day and the 8th grade Bon Voyage dance. And the Mercy Benefit concert is going to be taking place at Whitman that night as well. June 12th, another packed day. There will be a breakfast held at the district office for students who are going into the armed forces next year. And later that night, there is an exclusive scholarship ceremony for seniors being held in the PAC. All right, so the rest of what I have has to do with the school year coming to an end. Starting with Whitman, the last day of classes is June 16th, and any finals or regents will be taken after that. And then the last day of classes for lower grade levels will be the 27th. And on the 25th, there is an 8th grade moving up ceremony, which I wanted to acknowledge because it's just as important as high school graduation. The final thing I want to mention that I promise I'm done was the senior walkthrough through Birchwood and Maplewood, and this is going to be happening June 23rd after graduation ceremony rehearsal. I think it's going to be a really bittersweet day, but I can speak for all of the seniors when I say that we really do look forward to visiting the younger students, and it'll be a good way to fully get ready for graduation. I think that's a nice way to end off the night, so thank you, and I will see you all in a few weeks.
Thank you, Gracie. All right, good job. You're part of our recognition list next week as well, so. Voice of the residents. Anyone like to address the board? Okay. Sorry. All right. With that, I'll take a motion to go into executive session to discuss a matter of personnel, review of the superintendent's job performance. Motion. And any opposed? It's not a bad thing. We do it every year, so.
And if I'm not at work tomorrow, you know why.
It's not every year, so.
It's coffee.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, everyone.